Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This Christmas, the Lincoln Project invites you to join former President Donald J. Trump in receiving a full suite of COVID vaccinations, including a booster. Just like Donald Trump, you and your loved ones will be protected from the worst risks of a deadly COVID infection. Vaccines and boosters, endorsed by former President Donald J. Trump, for Americans like you.
Did you get the booster?
Yes.
Oh!
Merry Christmas, everybody! I'm very excited. This is the last show of the year. It is the last show of 2021, which it turns out wasn't so terrible. It wasn't the worst ever, was it? Was it the worst ever? No. There are a lot of really good things that happened in 2021, and today is the day that we're going to tell you about them. First of all, say goodbye to most of our Confederate statues, okay? That's a good thing, right? And weren't we just watching the TV? Me and Brett were just watching the TV there, trying to figure out whether or not he should travel.
You're going to get me in trouble.
I just want to say to your mom, who I think is a wonderful, beautiful, stunningly good human being, that Brett should not be traveling. Just saying. But okay, that's that. We'll get to that in the next portion of the show. Right now, I just want to say that we were watching the TV, and what we saw was that the statue of Robert E. Lee, which came down thanks to all of us saying, "You lost. Why are we having statuary standing erected in your losing honor?" So there apparently was a time capsule that was embedded in the pedestal of the Robert E. Lee Confederate statuary. And we were like, they were starting to open the time capsule, in which we surmise, we don't know yet, that in there is a list of his slaves, should anything happen to him, and how he would bequeath them to another person to own the humans. Anyway, those statues have come down this year. That's like freaking great, right? Also, the Chauvin verdict. Let's not forget George Floyd's Chauvin verdict. That was a big win for justice. That was a big win for people who think right in this country, who do right in this country, people who were outraged at this man's arrogance as he stood there with his hand lovingly placed either in his pocket or on his pocket, staring down into the camera of a girl's cell phone for an enormous, inordinate amount of time, knowing that he was choking the life out of a human being. And there was justice for him. He was convicted on all the counts, right? Also, Juneteenth became a holiday this year. This is good. This is really good. The coup on January 6th, while it happened, failed. It failed because the gang that couldn't shoot straight is what happened. So now we have all kinds of information. Now we have all kinds of interviews and information and inside game knowledge so that we can actually prevent our government from being burrowed into by Steve Bannon's shock troops in order to undo the results of an election that was held in a free and fair manner by the voters of this here country, right? So now, you know, they told us nothing, but they showed us everything, and now we know exactly how to thwart exactly what we need legislatively. Thanks, Joe Manchin. We'll talk about that too, because I think I understand what he wants, which is a good thing about 2021, knowing what Joe Manchin wants, right? I think I figured it out. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll run it by you and you can weigh in. So the coup failed, and we ended up with two very brave Republicans. Yeah, Kinzinger and Cheney. I mean, Cheney's looking better in her old age. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like my mother said, you have the face you deserve by the time you're 40. And so this is good. It's very good. Also, we have a suite of vaccines now endorsed by Donald J., right, that you should take them. He's been boosted. O'Reilly's been boosted, right? Everybody's been boosted. And we know that more and more lawmakers are testing positive, like Barbara Lee. There was just news about Barbara Lee testing positive. Elizabeth Warren tested positive. As you may know, Cory Booker tested positive. Jason Crow tested positive. Now, the good news here is that they're Democrats. So Democrat equals vaccinated and boosted equals mild to no symptoms, right? So we know about COVID now. We know how to prevent COVID now. We know about masks. We know they work. We know about traveling. We know about HEPA filters in airplanes. We know about, vaccines and boosters. We know about... Hey, there's more good news on the vaccine front, on the COVID front. Today, the Pfizer company just announced that they have a pill, an antiviral pill that has made it through all the clinical trials, stage 1, 2, and 3, and it's efficacious, to quote Dr. Anthony Fauci. It's efficacious, meaning that if you test positive, even for Omicron, Delta, wild variety, Beta, all of it, if you take this pill within 3 to 5 days of the onset of your symptoms, or if you find out that you are positive and you are in a high risk category, meaning you're over 65, you have an autoimmune deficiency, you have lung issues, this pill actually lessens the severity of the course of the disease, whether it's Omicron or Delta, which is vicious, by 89%, which is great news for healthcare providers. It's great news for hospital, ER doctors, respiratory therapists who, are treating people who are, coughing in their face going, I have COVID, give me the vaccine. No, it's a little too late for that. But now there's a pill. It's called Paxlovid. Now, we only have about, we have tens of thousands of doses or full courses. I shouldn't say doses, full courses of treatment available right now. But Pfizer says that they are ramping up the production of Paxlovid, and they will have hundreds of thousands of doses by early 2022, which is just days away now, just days away. So that's great. Also today, the Biden administration is waiving any requirement for people to pay their student loan debt again. People who are who were being crushed by their student loan debt, they haven't had to make a payment in 2 years, which is good. Biden is weighing whether or not to wipe them out completely. There have been ideas about wiping out $50,000 of student loan debt. There has been talk about $10,000 of student loan debt being wiped out. But right now, just so you know, you don't have to make a payment on a student loan. It's been waived until May. So if you have automatic payments set up on those loans, make sure you check, your auto pay section at your bank, and that it's continuing. That it continues through to May, because you don't have to make that payment. So that's good news. Also, let's not forget, Britney is free. Britney. That was tragic. It really was. I mean, you can mock, you can make fun. I still have it on my, I was going to say my iPod. I still have her on my playlist. She's in my Jessica is Home playlist. She's in my 90s playlist. She's on a lot of my. Now, what I do is every time I put a Britney, I put a Christina right after. So if it's whoops, I did it again, then it's followed by Genie in a Bottle. You understand? Because I'm a Christina. Just saying. But Britney is free, right? And the best news about 2021, it's almost over. Hey. Oh. Yeah. Good news today.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Jim, it's all about the trend. You and I talk about this all the time. That first quarter, 6.3% to start the year was very strong growth. That is an aggressively growing economy. And then 6.7% for the second quarter. Again, very strong growth. And then this hiccup in the third quarter, and we're expecting growth probably picked up in the fourth quarter again. On average for the year, you're still looking, Jim, for the best year of economic growth. The best year since the Reagan administration. Now, the big headwinds are economists say Build Back Better may be dead, so they're trying to downgrade their expectations a little bit in the beginning of next year.
Thanks,
Omicron,
Joe.
we still have a lot of concerns and uncertainties about what happens with the Omicron virus and whether people pull back a little bit, consumer spending and businesses have to pull back again. Not restrictions, government restrictions, but people and businesses pulling back because of the spreading virus. So we still have COVID to deal with, but on balance, this is the strongest economy since the Reagan administration. Inflation is the problem the Fed is worried about. An economy growing so fast, they need to cool it down next year.
Yeah, and people still rate the economy as the worst since the Carter administration. I mean, the disconnect between the numbers and how folks are feeling it or perceiving it, just dramatic.
It's COVID exhaustion, exhaustion, I'm telling you, and that those grinding higher gas prices, that just really weighs on people. But I'll point out, gas prices are down 11 or 12 cents since the peak. So gas prices have been coming down a little bit. So maybe people will feel better.
I hope you feel better. I hope you do, because I'm telling you today in the Wall Street Journal, there is a must-read article that you have to hand to each and every naysayer and doubter and unhappy human that you know. The title of it is called Booming U.S. Economy, Ripples Worldwide. Now, if you bother to read these 7 pages of gripping reading, fabulous reading. I mean, like really, really up there with like Charlotte Bronte and stuff. Really. J.K. Rowling, everybody? Like that? Yeah, if you bother to read these 7 pages, the first thing you'll realize is that this report is coming from over there. This report was written by a reporter for the Wall Street Journal who is not here in America, who is in Frankfurt, Germany. And the view from the Eurozone and the view from China and the view from abroad about the American economy is, woohoo, let's move to America. I swear to God, that is the entire thrust of this article. And remember, the Wall Street Journal is mostly about economic issues. This is what they focus on. And again, I told you, it's a great newspaper if you stay away from their editorial page, which is deadly. It's where every hater publishes, okay? Every naysayer publishes in the Wall Street Journal on the editorial page. But the main newspaper just reports facts just like, New York Times or the Washington Post or USA Today for that matter, Reuters, AP, doesn't matter. Okay, but this article is written by somebody in Frankfurt, Germany, and wrote, a booming U.S. economy is rippling around the world, leaving global supply chains struggling to keep up and pushing up prices. So right there, in one sentence, concise, succinct, you have an explanation about what is pushing up prices and that we are not the problem. Our consumer base is energized. Our consumer base is flush. Our consumer base is seeing wages. That's another good thing about 2021. We had a 4% increase in wages last year, thanks to the fact that, people were scarce in the job market, right? People were scared to go to work. People were sick. People were hospitalized for long periods at a time. People were unable to get child care. All these things contributed to workers having leverage. For the first time in forever, workers were paid better. 4% increase. And then when you look at all the stimulus money that was put into the economy to help float us while we, figured out that we could, protect ourselves with vaccines, that masks did work, that washing our hands was something we ought to learn how to do. Not just after leaving the bathroom, which a lot of people don't do, which is disgusting. But the U.S. economy is literally percolating. The U.S. economy did great because of the investment in the U.S. economy, because of investment in people, okay? And so the economic output in the United States is going to expand by more than 7% over the year in the final 3 months of this year. up from about 2% in the last quarter. This is the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta's numbers. And if you look at the Eurozone and China, where they didn't have stimulus, where they didn't invest in their people, where they didn't float people who were, dealing with closed, businesses and et cetera. So the Eurozone did 2% growth over the year, and China did 4% growth in the fourth quarter. This is JP Morgan Chase's numbers. 2% in the Eurozone, 4% in China, and the United States is percolating at 7% growth. Our ports, the reason why our ports are so clogged, because we are processing a fifth more of container volume this year than we did pre-pandemic, 2019. More than we did pre-pandemic. The major European ports like Hamburg and Rotterdam are flat or they're below 2019 levels. That's because they didn't invest in people. They didn't give people stimulus money. They didn't, help people out there, right? So the busiest container ports are in the United States, and they're leaping ahead of Asia. We're leaping ahead of the Eurozone. Basically, this boils down to America is having a boom, and that is driving prices up. There is a desire now, due to our ultra strong economic numbers, for the rest of the world to come to America to produce things. Why? Well, because we can't process the stuff that's been made over there, over here fast enough for Americans to buy it at a good low price, right? And the cost of shipping things, as we know, has gone through the roof. This is why you're paying more for everything. It's the shipping costs, right? So if a container load of goods cost $2,500 to ship pre-pandemic, you're now looking at $25,000 for that same amount of goods in that same sized container. You can see where the problem is. Well, it seems that a lot of companies, especially companies in Japan, companies in the Eurozone, companies in other parts, the Netherlands, England, etc., they have all decided that they need to build things, create things, make things here for the American consumer here because the supply chain sucks and shipping has gotten so expensive that they've decided that it would be best if they made their wind turbines not in China. It would be best if they made the blades for their wind turbines not in China. It would be best if they made their solar panels not in China. It would be best if they moved those factories, those jobs, those products, their manufacturing here to the United States. And thusly is how you beat China at their own game. Not by standing on a stage and yelling at them and then praising Xi on the back end. That is not how you do it. You move the production closer.
Clear. All in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Having stories and much, much more when Lifestyles returns in a moment.
Okay, so guess what Joe Manchin wants? Guess what Joe Manchin wants? Now, I'm telling you about the economic boom that we're in. The people who do the banking, the Goldman Sachs of the world, the JP Morgan Chases of the world, the Federal Reserve banks have all said that Joe Manchin, if he doesn't get on board with Build Back Better, he will be responsible for taking away at least a half a percentage point, if not a full percentage point of growth from the United States of America by refusing to invest in the Build Back Better plan, which does everything to lower costs for American families, thereby in a consumer-driven economy where 70% of everything we're talking about is driven by us, the consumer. If you lower the cost for us on things like prescription drugs, which we don't necessarily run out to buy because we want them, we run out to buy them because we need them. And childcare. which we would love to do ourselves, but it includes working for a living. We can't do it ourselves. Elder care, same story. Everybody over the age of 50 who is lucky enough to still have mom or dad or both around knows the stress and the strain on your finances trying to figure out how to pay for your parents to maintain a decent, dignified life that includes showering and meals and toileting and getting dressed daily, right? So these are the things that Build Back Better actually lowers the cost of, giving us, the consumer, even more cash to spend on crap, which we love. Americans, we love crap. Crap is our motivation each and every day. I need more crap. I need more stuff. I need stuff to put my stuff in. I need storage space to store my stuff that I don't even use anymore. That is who we are. It is what we're built on. Stuff. Okay? And one of the great things is that this economy and this amount of consumer-driven success that was created by investing in us in our time of need has produced so much consumerism in this country that businesses are now pouring money into the United States looking to take advantage of a sustainable increase in demand on our part. So because the supply chain is bottlenecked, and because the cost of shipping things in a long supply chain have gone exponentially through the ceiling, companies are now looking to American consumers and they're saying, well, let's just shorten the supply chain. Let's just build stuff in America where people have money. This is what the Wall Street Journal wrote. Recent U.S. fiscal stimulus, quote, gives us more confidence in the U.S. market. It makes it easier to go into this and easier for consumers to go in, said Mark Becker, CEO for offshore at Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy, a Spain-based wind turbine manufacturer. They say they plan to invest $200 million to build turbine blades in Virginia for offshore wind turbines. This is the first commitment by a global manufacturer in the U.S. supply chain. In fact, it goes on to tell us that investment in equipment being created in the United States will rise by 13% in 2022. That's JP Morgan Chase saying that. Capital investment in the Eurozone will decrease. Japanese business investment, 0.1% increase. The United States, foreign investment in the United States, building stuff in the United States will increase by 13%. And then they talk about Build Back Better. They say the two new U.S. fiscal spending packages worth a combined $3 trillion, that would be the BIF, the infrastructure package, and Build Back Better, would boost the American economy by between 0.5 and 1 percentage point in each of the next 2 years, according to Oxford Economics, although the future of those larger bills was thrown into doubt last weekend. And they don't say it, but I will, by Joe Manchin. And then they say, but the consumers continue to spend money from the earlier stimulus packages. Swiss manufacturer of solar modules, they're going to build their first U.S. factory by the end of next year. This is according to, they have an existing production facility in Germany, and they're expanding it. They're not closing it. They're going to expand it, and they're going to have one here. The solar industry, by the way, does 80% of their production in China, and now they're going to move it to the United States. The decision was made by surging transportation costs and rapidly growing U.S. demand. Because the cost of shipping has gone 4 times higher than before the pandemic, that's one factor. And the other factor is Build Back Better incentivizes us to put solar panels on our houses. It incentivizes the United States to build wind turbines as a supplier of electricity to our electric grids. And here in the United States, we can see and we can feel that the supply chains don't work for us, right? They're shaky. We don't trust them anymore. And so wouldn't it be great if everybody just came here and shortened the supply chain? And that's exactly what's going to happen because of Joe Biden, because of the Democrats, because of the fiscal policies. And you know what? All anybody is belching out on the airwaves in the United States of America, all anybody complaining and moaning and groaning and pointing, and he's a mushmouth and I don't like listening to him and he's boring and he's this and he's that. We are literally going to match foreign investment in the United States with China. We will be the largest recipient of foreign direct domestic investment. I think that's a win, okay? I think that's good news for 2021, which was such a suck year, okay? I think that that's important. And why our media decides, oh, well, you know, we have to trash Biden because, you know, obviously Trump was a liar and a cheat and a fraud. So, but now, you know, we have to trash Biden too to prove we're fair. No, fairness is the truth.
Clear. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Dr. Fauci has been attacked by Fox hosts since nearly the beginning of the pandemic. Most recently, it was Lara Logan, who last month used her show on the channel's streaming network to compare Fauci to a Nazi doctor known as the Angel of Death at Auschwitz for his brutal experiments on prisoners.
People say to me that he doesn't represent science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who did experiments on Jews during the Second World War and in the concentration camps.
After that, Fox stayed silent, and Lara Logan continued to demonize Fauci. Then she appeared to be quietly removed from air, at least temporarily.
How they can let her say that with no comment and no disciplinary action. I'm astounded by that.
And all the rhetoric has come with a cost. Fauci has received death threats, and it's put his entire family at risk.
Every once in a while you stop and you think about it and you say, my world has completely changed. Yeah. But as it's changing, you don't realize it's changing because you're just focusing. You know, we got to get a vaccine, we got to get a drug, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then every once in a while you say, well, wait a minute. I got 2 armed security guys here. I got another guy over there.
Since March of last year, Fauci has had security detail for extra protection. Comments like Waters, perhaps, making that all the more necessary.
The potential for such phrases to transform from rhetoric into destructiveness or physical harm, you know, we've seen that time and time again. People will co-opt that for a call to action in harm against Dr. Fauci.
And Randy Kay joins us now. Randy, do these threats to Dr. Fauci go beyond just the rhetoric we hear from people on TV?
Absolutely, John. We are seeing that. In fact, over the summer, the federal government filed a federal complaint against a 56-year-old Maryland man. And according to the affidavit, this man had made threats to Fauci and his family that he would harm or kill them. According to the affidavit, one email said that he would drag them into the street, beat them to death, and then set them on fire.
Oh, God.
The affidavit also says that this man sent 7 threatening emails in 7 minutes on a single day back in April. Separate from that, Dr. Fauci had also received white powder in the mail that he said he described it as blowing up in his face. Of course, there was some concern that it was the very dangerous anthrax. It turned out to be harmless. But these are distractions. He says he's not going to let them bother him. He's going to continue to stay focused on getting people vaccinated and doing his job. But certainly, John, a lot to deal with.
A lot to deal with unnecessarily. And it's because of who some people in this country are. It's because we have a subgroup of Americans in this country who truly and really want permission to be violent. They want permission to kill people. They have shown up at all of these Charlie Kirk things, right? All of these right-wing, lunatic, fringy things, asking, when is it time to, actually shoot people? When do we get to kill people? When do we get to use our Second Amendment remedies, which Donald Trump started? That whole gravy train of violent talk, that whole idea that everything sucks in the United States. Things are so bad. Things just blow. And it's all because of this person, or it's all because of that person, or it's because of Democrat policies, or it's because of Biden, or it's because of Kamala, or it's because of, Obama, death panels, and all this death talk, all of this crosshairs stuff came from the ultra right wing that could never, ever figure out how to solve a single problem that Americans face each and every day of their lives. They have never figured out what to do about child care. They have never figured out what to do about elder care. They have never figured out what to do about poverty. They have never figured out what to do about education. They've never figured out what to do about, Confederate statues or nothing. They can't think their way out of a paper bag. And when you are operating at such a deficit of logic and reason, your mind just wanders into resentment and hatred and getting even with the people that are making you feel this bad. And so what do? You threaten a little Italian doctor who has previously, I won't say cured AIDS, but made AIDS a non-issue. A non-issue for people who have that virus. Let them live full and free lives. I mean, the idea that we have Biktarvy or any of those drugs, okay, that literally sets people free, provides them with freedom of choice, freedom of motion, freedom to live their lives to the fullest, freedom to love themselves, freedom to love other people, freedom to thrive, is somehow lost on those people. It's somehow lost that is what Dr. Fauci's entire life has been about. And now we have, we've got vaccines that work against the most deadly form of this virus, which was Delta. We have boosters that, when your antibodies wane or when, your ability to fight back on this virus wanes over time, you just get a little simple 2-second free booster, and there you are, all ready to face the world again and be free. And for this, he must be threatened. This is bad. Now we have a pill, okay? Now we have a pill. This pill also is... It beats back the severity of this virus by 89%. So it prevents hospitalization. It prevents severe illness in those who refused to participate in the protection of others, for those who refuse to take a vaccine. Okay, the monoclonal antibody treatment doesn't seem to work. The ones that Regeneron developed, we told you this earlier in the week, didn't seem to work against Omicron. And so there's only one antibody treatment left, right? There's just one. And so this is better because this doesn't need a clinician. This doesn't require intravenous where the Sotromvolab, it's hard to say, but that one antibody that seems efficacious, that seems to work against Omicron, you would have to go and have an intravenous infusion of it, meaning you'd have to be in a laboratory setting or in a transfusion site, right? Someplace where a clinician is administering a bag intravenously to you. Well, now there's this pill. So let's take Dr. Fauci outside and kick the crap out of him. Let's do that, because now there's a pill, Paxlovid. Take it 3 to 5 days after the onset of symptoms. No hospitalization for you. That's bad. But I'm telling you, they always need a target because what they are a bunch of shooters. You understand? They want to shoot things. They want to shoot people. They want to kill people. They want to hang people. They want to, hang Mike Pence. They want to hunt Nancy. They want to hurt people because there is a machinery in our society that really we need to work on getting rid of. Because that machinery is a machinery designed to ramp up production of resentment, hostility, and despair. It's all they sell to their people. In fact, they prove it over and over again by telling their viewers not to get vaccinated, by telling their viewers fake and false stuff about how to protect yourself in the face of a pandemic. And they're willing to have their customers, their literal clients, if you will, die in order to keep the level of resentment and despair at an all-time high. It is the only way they feel that they have a chance to regain power. And when I tell you that I figured out what Joe Manchin wants, it's what every politician wants. It's what every Republican politician wants. It's what Mitch McConnell wants. It's the same throughout that particular strain of ideology. Joe Manchin was a governor. What does that mean? That means he was an executive. That means Joe Manchin had his own security detail. Joe Manchin had his own executive branch. Joe Manchin could, bark out commands and they would be, executed in the way that he, saw fit for the people of West Virginia. Well, look at West Virginia and tell me how well did that work out. Yeah, right. That's why you're 49th in infrastructure, 47th in education, and all the things that normal, average, and above average human beings want, West Virginia lacks. They're at the very bottom of all those things on the checklist of what makes a society good. So what does Joe Manchin want? Joe Manchin wants attention, which he's getting by being a naysayer. But Joe Manchin wants executive power. Joe Manchin wants to call the tune. Joe Manchin needs to be put in some position where he can oversee some damn thing other than our lives.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me, help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Look, the unvaccinated are responsible for their own choices. But those choices have been fueled by dangerous misinformation on cable TV and social media. These companies and personalities are making money by peddling lies and allowing misinformation that can kill their own customers and their own supporters. It's wrong. It's immoral. I call on the purveyors of these lies and misinformation to stop it. Stop it now.
They will not stop it because that is their niche. That is their avenue into the hearts and minds of depraved and desperate people, is to gin up the amount of resentment, gin up the amount of despair in this country, as if we don't have enough deaths of despair in the first place. Now let's add virus deaths to the death count. Let's do that. Listen, and then scream freedom or some such thing. Well, freedom is the idea that you could take a vaccine and go anywhere you want. Freedom is the idea that there is an antiviral pill that you could take and not end up in the hospital. And you owe a debt of gratitude to every one of the sciencey people among us who did that hard work over the last 2 years. In fact, there's some noise coming out of Walter Reed. The Army thinks that perhaps now this particular vaccine, it would be a vaccine, it hasn't gone through the second and third clinical trials yet, but it's apparently a vaccine that operates in a different way than the mRNA vaccines operate. And that this vaccine, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, would be a panacea, meaning a one and done shot that would prevent all forms of Omicron, all of them. Problem is it's got nano in the title, and, the psychos among us think, that nanotechnology is how they're putting the chip in us, as if they give a damn where the people of Alabama go. They care where Mississippians are hanging out. They care whether or not you're a good or a bad line dancer. Yeah, no one cares that much. And in fact, if they did care, your phone would tell them everything that they needed to know about you and where you go. So would your car, for that matter. But yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. So what do they want to do? They want to go after the science. They want to go after the scientists. They want to go after the people that stand on that wall and protect us from things you can't even see, because they studied really hard and they understand communicable disease. They understand immunology. They understand epidemiology. They understand viruses. They understand how to beat back a virus. They understand the spike protein. They understand the faces of the spike protein, the mutations, and they work to plug up those holes in the treatment of various diseases that kill people. Yeah, so now today we get the first pill. But hey, that doesn't stop the right wing from lying to their people over and over and over and over again, and it will never stop them from doing it because it's all they have. They don't have one single policy that has benefited any single human being in this country over the last 2 years. Not one policy. They're against everything that was done in order to alleviate the suffering in this country. They're against it all. Everything from science and investment in science, unless it's going to big pharma, and then they'll argue about R&D, except that you have Congress members like Katie Porter who can actually get out her little whiteboard and show you in front of the CEO of AbbVie or the CEO of Merck or the CEO of Pfizer that their R&D investment is this much. I mean, like a tiny smidge of all the spending they do, and that corporate compensation, CEO salaries, vice president of this, vice president of ass holiness, vice president of your royal ass holiness, senior vice president of ass holiness, senior vice president of royal ass holiness, right? That the corporate compensation packages are the lion's share of their spending. But they're against everything that would help us move into a better place. Everything. Now, Joe Manchin thinks that his people who vote for him in West Virginia think that way. Unfortunately, it's not true. They don't think that way. Better than 60% of West Virginians are for Build Back Better. Better than 60% of West Virginians are for building things in West Virginia. Yesterday, you had the coal miners union, which is, about 120,000 people at this point, beg Joe Manchin to vote for Build Back Better because they know they need better jobs to replace the coal mining industry. They know what the future is because they're not stupid. They know that they need help paying for childcare to go to work. They know that they need lower health care premiums. They know that they have very bad dental hygiene and that they would like to see Medicare cover a set of teeth. They know that the hearing aid is a good bet, right? Because hearing aids can be anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000. And they are for Build Back Better. Now, why is Joe Manchin doing what Joe Manchin is doing? Well, again, Joe Manchin, here's a brief history of Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin was a football player at the University of West Virginia, okay? He was, a quarterback. So he was like the star football player. And then he got injured. And after he got injured, he was followed around by the media all the time. He was constantly the focus of attention and TV time and love and, accolades and all. And he got very, very used to it. He was like weaned on attention. And he still craves it. He still wants it. He still needs to have it. And so he parlayed that into a career in politics, is what he did. Now, you know his history in West Virginia. He was a, state legislator. Then he was the Secretary of State. And then after Secretary of State, he ran for governor 2005. And he was governor of West Virginia. But Joe Manchin was only governor of West Virginia for one term, one term. And then Joe Manchin ran for the U.S. Senate, and Joe Manchin got elected. Joe Manchin has said to his colleagues in the United States Senate that his best day as a United States Senator wasn't as good as his worst day as governor. So this tells you Joe Manchin is an attention whore, which is why he's distinguishing himself by saying no repeatedly and doing 15-minute radio interviews, blaming incivility and any other thing that he can blame his naysaying on as the reason why he's saying no to this Build Back Better bill. It's getting him attention is the message here. And that is what he craves. In that way, he's I don't want to say he's no better than Donald Trump, but in that media craven way, he's no better than Donald Trump. Now, what makes him better? Well, he's got a sense of decency in that he understands the benefits of pre-K. He understands the benefits of a child tax credit. He understands the benefits of expanding Medicaid. He understands. He intellectually gets it, where you can't say the same for Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't intellectually get anything except Donald Trump. And he's not even self-aware. But Joe Manchin needs to be an executive. Joe Manchin needs to be in charge. Joe Manchin needs to be the governor of West Virginia. That is what Joe Manchin needs to be. And guess what? He's eligible. Joe Manchin can run for governor of West Virginia. He can do it in 2024. And I say we all support him in this effort. And in fact, if I have to go down to West Virginia and campaign for Joe Manchin to be governor of West Virginia, I will do that.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
At the end of the press conference on COVID, the president got peppered with questions about the Build Back Better bill and Joe Manchin, and he said he still hopes to pass the bill. Quickly, what does the president need to do to get Joe Manchin on board and pass his bill?
I don't know, Anita, and I hope that he can't get him back on board, because it would be a victory for the American people not to pass trillions of dollars in new deficit spending.
Okay, that's Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas who's lying. It is totally paid for. Build Back Better is paid for. There is not one penny of deficit spending in Build Back Better. I will tell you what there is deficit spending in, and that's the bipartisan infrastructure package. They did not pay for the bipartisan infrastructure package, and Joe Manchin voted for that. And so did a whole bunch of other Republicans. So it has nothing to do with deficit spending. As you know, Build Back Better is paid for, where the bipartisan infrastructure package was not. The defense spending bill, Joe Manchin didn't have to think about that. Almost $800 billion for America's defense contractors. Didn't have to think about that. No. Joe Manchin needs attention. Why does Joe Manchin need attention? Because I'm telling you right now, Joe Manchin wants to be the executive again. Joe Manchin wants to run for governor of West Virginia. You know who the governor of West Virginia is currently, don't you? Yes, it's Jim Justice. Jim Justice. Jim Justice is a Republican, newly minted Republican. He got on the Trump bandwagon for his reelection. So Jim Justice is a Republican, but he is also one of the richest people in the world. Do you know that? Jim Justice he was worth $1.2 billion in September of 2018. This is why Joe Manchin ran for the Senate in 2018 and not for governor in 2018, because he felt he couldn't mount the kind of cash that Jim Justice was going to throw at it. And so he decided, I'll run for the Senate again, even though he's miserable being a United States Senator, Joe Manchin is. And that misery is what you smell and taste and feel when you listen to Joe Manchin opine about the fate of the American people. But Jim Justice can't run again because Jim Justice will be term limited in 2024. And so Joe Manchin, who's only been governor one time, can indeed run for governor again in 2024. And it seems to me that with all this flailing around and trying to figure out, should we do a GoFundMe and raise $12 million and give him some money and blah, blah. No. What he really wants is a gubernatorial political action committee to raise money for him so he can be the next governor of West Virginia. It's what he wants. So if anybody ever asks you ever again, what do you think Joe Manchin wants? Feel free to blurt out, he wants to be governor of West Virginia again. That is what Joe Manchin wants. And that is why he seeks this much attention. He's not done riding the government gravy train of jobs. He's not done. And his favorite job of all the jobs that he's had in government, is governor of West Virginia. Now, I'm telling you, Jim Justice is like the richest man ever to hold, elected office. His father was a coal company owner. His father owned a coal mining business. This is why Joe Manchin dabbles in coal mining business. Okay, but what Manchin's company does is they broker coal waste. That's what he sells, coal waste. But Jim Justice, his daddy was a big coal mining business owner, and he inherited, yes, this is why they're against the billionaires tax. He inherited that coal mining business from his daddy and then started buying all these other companies. And now Jim Justice owns like 94 companies, including the Greenbrier Hotel, which is a luxury resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Is gorgeous. So if you ever want to get preferential treatment and you're going to go to the Greenbrier, like a lot of people have weddings there, etc., just put your name down as I would put Randi Connolly Justice Rhodes. Because when they see Connolly Justice, that's who owns the Greenbrier. You'll get, pampered. But this is the deal. This is what Manchin is doing. That's what he's doing. Now, we all went over the numbers. America is in the midst of an economic boom. The problem we are having is the cost of shipping things from all the way around the other side of the world to us has increased exponentially. And that is what's causing the price of things to increase. That is what's causing inflation, right? And so the solution for that is to make the things here, shorten the supply chain, no shipping, no muss, no fuss, no added cost, and invest even more in the consumers of this country to allow us to buy whatever the hell we need and buy whatever the hell we want. And, the Democrats understand that that is the key that unlocks the door of our economic prowess. That is the key that unlocks the door for all these industries from abroad to come here and build here, manufacture here, create the blades for the wind turbines here, create the wind turbines here, create the solar panels here, create everything for the renewable future here. And because we're having a boom and the rest of the world is not, and the reason is because of the amount of money that we got in stimulus, right? Because we are having a boom and the rest of the world is not, the rest of the world wants to come here and do it here. Because they know we're going to buy it. We're going to purchase. It is that simple. And that is how you win the trade war. That is how you put China out of business. It is what you do. It is how you do it. And the reason to do it is to make sure that we have cash. That's what all the economists are saying. And they're all agreeing that if Manchin votes to kill Build Back Better, that our GDP is going to be at least a 0.5 percentage point to a whole percentage point less than what it would be if he voted for it. Now, Idiot Boy knows this. Okay, he knows it. But the attention he's getting as being, I'm a West Virginian and you can't be uncivil to me, tells you another thing about Joe Manchin. Know what else it tells you? He loves attention, but he's very thin-skinned, meaning he can dish it out, but he can't take it. And that is another flaw in having him as the 50th vote in the United States Democratic Caucus in the Senate with a 50-50 Senate. You see what I mean? So he is looking for every reason that he could possibly manufacture, like Tom Cotton there just sat there and lied and told you, oh, well, trillions of dollars in deficit spending. Now, that's a lie. We all know that's a lie. It's been gone over and gone over again by every single economics entity that there is, the CBO, the General Services Administration, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, you name it. They've all looked at it. It's paid for. Okay? Now, why does Manchin sound like Tom Cotton? It gets him attention, negative attention that he can't handle.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. I've always said this, Brett. If I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get there.
You're done. This is a no.
This is a no on this legislation. I have tried everything I know to do. And the president has worked diligently. He's been wonderful to work with. He knows I've had concerns and the problems I've had.
Yeah. The problems you have is you want to run for governor. Again, and you couldn't do it against Jim Justice because Jim Justice has a net worth of over $1 billion. In West Virginia, you have to smarten up a little bit, okay? Stop electing billionaires to understand your problems, because billionaires don't understand our problems. They don't understand, middle-class problems. They don't understand children. They don't understand elder care. They don't understand, the work-a-day life. They don't understand, that you work all day, then you go home, then you got to cook dinner, and that's only if you remember to defrost. Brett heard me before the show. I had to call Howard and say, Howard, I forgot to defrost. Go in the freezer and get 2 hamburgers and put them on the counter because I forgot to defrost. See, these are the things. Okay? And then you have to go home and you have to put a smile on your face. You have to bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, then wear the bacon as pasties so he doesn't forget he's a man. Yes, this is the life of a working person. Jim Justice has no connection to... He was reared in the lap of luxury. He's not a bad guy. He's just a guy that doesn't understand your life. All right, Rich in Denver.
Randi, my queen.
Yes,
awesome
my
show as
supplicant.
usual.
Thank you.
Awesome show as usual. You know, Randi, it's just like you said about the thing, about getting off the oil pit. You just got to make what the sheiks have
worthless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was telling Brett, we have Bastids, a Danish wind turbine company that is the largest manufacturing wind turbine company in the world, and they moved they based their plants out here in Pueblo, Colorado, and Windsor, Colorado, and then they moved their North American operations out here, and we get over 300 days of sunshine a year. We statistically get more days of sunshine than Miami and San Diego Beach.
I know. I was shocked when I found that out about Colorado, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm Randi. I'm sitting here looking at my sprinkler on my tree out front. It's 63 degrees here on December. We're 20 degrees above normal. Normal for December is 43 degrees. I'm in shorts, watering my tree out front right now.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a very warm Christmas for you, for Nebraska. I mean, I was looking at it's going to be toasty. Yeah.
Not gonna be a white Christmas out here, Randi. That's for sure.
Isn't that sad? That's sad because it's one of the best things about Colorado is the beautiful snow and mountains and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the mountains will have it. The
I
ski
know.
area's got it,
I know.
but here in Denver, yeah. Randy, and Tom Hartman has said this forever. The first party that starts bringing jobs back to America will win elections. And we've got to get back, like you were saying earlier in the segments about, it's cheaper for the companies to move the jobs here, make the stuff here, pay a good serviceable wage,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And another thing, Randy, not only are you bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan, you also got to mix a martini for your other half while you're making dinner,
Oh, you got that right. Holy crap. I know. And I don't drink on school nights, but he does. So, yes, I do have to do that too. No question about it. But you know what?
Hey, Randy.
Here's the problem that we're having. The problem that we're having is the media, the corporate media in this here country, in their unbelievable gymnastic effort, their Olympic gymnastic effort. Yes, to bend over backwards to prove that they're fair, are trashing Joe Biden and his plans and his economy and the speed with which he gets these tests free out to everybody. And, all this stuff just to show somehow, well, we trashed Trump, and so now we have to trash Biden. In all fairness. No, fairness means tell the truth. This man has a booming economy. This man is single-handedly bringing jobs into the United States that were previously thought to be ungettable. Now they're totally coming here. The investment in the United States of America is about to skyrocket. The GDP in this country is 7%. Remember, Donald Trump said that he would lower taxes on the rich because it would make GDP 4%, maybe 5%, maybe 6%. Well, we're at 7%. Okay, and it had nothing to do with, lowering taxes on the wealthy. It had to do with pouring money into the consumers' pockets to give us money to buy things, which is what we've always said.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that works. In a consumer-driven economy, we're the drivers. So give the driver of the consumer-driven economy the ability to consume. That's what works, and everybody knows it. But the corporate, the billionaires, the lobbyists, they don't work for us. They work for the billionaires. They work for the corporate interests, and their interests are way different than ours. Their interests are in keeping their tax rates low. Our interest is getting our wages. We're willing to work. We're willing to work our fannies off. We work so freaking hard. Everyone in this audience has worked their whole life. Trust me. I doubt there's any, inheritors of great wealth in this audience. Everybody that's listening right now has worked. Whether you were professional or you worked with your hands, it doesn't matter. What matters is your work ethic and your ability to raise a family and your ability to give back, right? And we all know what that is. Billionaires who inherit money have no earthly idea. Not a clue. Brother David.
Happy holidays, sister.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Yes, it is. COVID Christmas again, but there you are. We'll get through it.
I was going to say Christmas 2020, but no, we have a pill now. We have a pill.
No, we're moving forward. We are moving forward. Real quick to you and Howard and Loretta, for whom I light candles every night, and Miss Jessica and Brett and Comrade Sean and the chat room and hi chat room and all the Rhodes Scholars out there. Please try to embrace that there is a future. We just have to come together and see it as a group. Because it's tricky, and boy, did you nail it about the mansion. I now have what to tell people. He wants to be governor of West Virginia.
Let him.
And exactly. I'll come join you in the campaign.
Exactly. Let's go. West Virginia is beautiful. It is. It's absolutely.
Yeah, it is gorgeous country. I've been.
Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River, almost heaven, West Virginia. Seriously.
Absolutely.
I will campaign for that freak. I will. I mean, we have to offload him. I promise. I promise West Virginians. The federal government, in the hands of the Democrats, with our policies, will improve your life. But in exchange, you have to take Joe Manchin back. That's the deal. That's the quid pro quo.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
All right, another good thing about 2021 is this freak show. This freak show over here, this Turning Point USA freak show is over. That's good. Here's one of the insurrectionist senators who hates America so much that he actually encouraged people to overthrow our government, opining about vaccines, which he has taken.
When it comes to COVID, my views are it's a disease. It's a serious disease. If you're in a vulnerable population, if you're elderly, if you have diabetes, if you're overweight, it can be deadly. And we have taken extraordinary steps to combat this disease. We have also seen, though, in a time of crisis, people's characters are revealed. And we have seen petty authoritarians putting mandates in place, whether vaccine mandates, whether mask mandates, whether shutting down schools or shutting down small businesses. All of that is fundamentally wrong. You know, my view on the vaccine.
Who needs it?
I'm pro-vaccine. I'm glad we have a vaccine. I actually think Operation Warp Speed under President Trump that cut through regulations and developed the vaccine, I'm grateful for that. But I also believe in individual liberty. So for those of you disagreeing, don't take the damn thing. You're adults. Make your own choice. You know, when you believe in liberty, you believe that rational and informed adults can talk to their doctor and make the decision they think is right for you. If you want the vaccine, take the vaccine. If you don't want the vaccine, don't take the vaccine. You know, when it comes to masks, my view is if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I don't care.
You don't
Actually,
care.
Democrats, the problem is their masks aren't tight enough. We can still hear them.
Okay, Shecky.
But I think vaccine mandates are wrong. I think mask mandates are wrong. I think vaccine passports are wrong. And I'm leading the fight against all of them.
I think that jacket is wrong. I think that whole outfit is wrong. Okay, so I'm going to leave it to Tom Hartman to explain this one last time to the anti-vax crowd, okay, or to the people who think that there is absolutely no duty to cover your face in the face of a highly contagious respiratory virus. Somebody brought this up yesterday and said, you know, Tom Hartman dealt with one of these anti-vax people really well. So I went and I looked for it and I found it, and it's just, this is gold. This is pure Tom Hartman gold.
Hey, Tom. I was listening to you for the last hour or so. I heard survival of the fittest. You know, some of us choose not to vaccinate because
you're nuts, Nicholas.
We work very hard about staying fit, eating healthy, and our natural immune system.
So, Nicholas, if you're so healthy, would you have unprotected sex with somebody who has syphilis or gonorrhea?
You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing the point. They're contagious diseases. Would you have unprotected sex with somebody who has syphilis and gonorrhea and not worry about it because you're so healthy?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, then why would you expose yourself to COVID without having some protection?
Because the protection is my natural immunity.
No, it's not. Tell that to 800,000 dead Americans. Nicholas, this is a stupid conversation, and I'm not going to continue it.
God love you, Tom. That was so well handled. That was such a smart route to take. I mean, contagious diseases are exactly that, contagious diseases. And if you know how to protect yourself from contracting an STD, a UTI, a syphilis, a gonorrhea, a drippy, disgusting thing shooting from your body, okay? And you know that putting a small little condom or a small little sheath, a small little lambskin over your schmeckle is going to keep you safe and protected, you would do it because you already do. And you wouldn't be calling up shows like mine and his saying, my natural immunity, as if your natural immunity is going to protect you from communicable STDs or from infections of any kind. That's just fantastical thinking. That's just bizarro world. That just makes no sense. But that's for people who give a damn about their own health, right? And then you've got this crowd out here that is totally convinced that they are invincible and don't care about protecting their children, don't care about protecting their neighbors, don't care about ending this pandemic. They just don't care about the role that they could play or should play or, what would play if they weren't being lied to so often. And listen, this is Debbie Birx, okay? Debbie Birx has been exposed now as being a front-running phony, a two-face. She's a two-face, okay? What she was writing in emails, okay, when she was in charge of the response to COVID, when they brought her in, okay, to be part of the COVID pandemic team in the Donald Trump era of failure, what she was writing in emails is way different than what she was saying out loud. Her silence in the face of a moron president who only had 15 cases in this country that could have reacted to those 15 cases in a very immediate and smart way and beat this pandemic back at the beginning of it. That was, can you imagine if Obama had let Ebola go and people's eyeballs were just bursting into bloody sockets? Because that's what Ebola does. Can you imagine if Obama failed on that, or failed on the bird flu, or failed on the first SARS or MERS epidemic? I mean, they would have him, literally nailed to a cross, on Christmas Day. There's no question. And that's exactly what Trump did. He failed, and he let this thing get out of control, and that's where it has been for the last 2 years. We're about to see it end. Listen, I'll bet you everybody in this country gets Omicron. I'll bet you every single person listening right now gets Omicron. You know what the difference is going to be this time? The difference is going to be if you're vaccinated and boosted, it won't be a thing. You may have a stuffy nose. You may have nothing. Get ready to test positive, though. I mean, it might be bracing for you to see a positive test. I know when I first saw my breakthrough come back positive, I was like, oh, my God. But it's not a thing. It's not a thing. You'll do fine. Everybody will do fine. Who's taken precautions, who has protected themselves and others. You'll be fine. I know this. The people who aren't protecting themselves or others, I don't know what it's going to look like. It could be, less severe than Delta, or it could be, something that alters the course of their days. I have no earthly idea because there's just not enough information about this particular variant. There just isn't. But I will tell you, I am so tired of being lied to about the efforts that can and weren't taken. Birx wrote an email in which she says, oh my God, you're leaving out all the information about masking, and all you're trying to do is, avoid testing because you don't want the numbers to go up. This is a mistake. You're going to see people die, right? And then she goes on TV and she says,
how would you describe the job President Trump is doing behind the scenes and in front of the cameras during these daily briefings that we're seeing? What's been your perspective, Dr. Birx?
He's been so attentive to the scientific literature and the details and the data. And I think his ability to analyze and integrate data that comes out of his long history in business has really been a real benefit during these discussions about medical issues. Because in the end, data is data, and he understands the importance of the granularity. And I think he's been really excited about finding the level of detail that we've been able to now bring over the last few weeks to really understand who's at the greatest risk for severe illness, who will have mild and less and asymptomatic disease, and really calling on every American to do that social distancing, because some people may not know they're actually infected and be unknowingly spreading the virus. And that all comes from the president seeing the data and then really directing these policies and these guidelines that go out to the American people.
She is literally lying to your face there. The emails are in today's homework. If you go to randirhodes.com, you'll see the section that says homework at the top. Click on it and go find her emails. Sickening. But listen, this is the end of 2021, and I promise you, 2022 will be better. The best is yet to come. You watch, you wait. It's going to be a great year. We'll see you then. Happy New Year, everybody.